What is going on, everybody? I am the FDGURU, bringing to you guys a Week 12 NFL main slate video. We don't really have any injury news, not a ton of value, but we'll talk about each position. I'm doing free Guru credits in this video. Again, a big code for 20 credits. As we get into Week 12, we have 7 early games, 3 afternoon games, and then that Sunday night football game for the FanDuel main slate as they've done. We'll get right into things, though, here. For quarterback, I don't like spending up at quarterback this week. I don't think it's worth it. We have, again, not a ton of value. There's some cheap wide receivers we could look at, but I think it's a spend up at running back kind of week. We do have some cheaper quarterbacks, better value in this position. I like Geno Smith a lot against the Cardinals. This is a really, really good game in the afternoon window. Cardinals at Seahawks. We have a 47.5 over-under. Both defenses not great. Geno Smith is too cheap here at 7,400. He's averaging 278 passing yards on the year. I don't know the actual facts, but I'm assuming that's the best in the league or right there in the top 3. So Smith looks great here, projected for the most passing yards on this slate for Sunday. Again, just a really good matchup, a cheap price on Geno. I really like this game. It's a 1-point spread in favor of the Seahawks. Should be very competitive. Another value quarterback you could look at is Daniel Jones at 7K. I'm just kidding. What a disaster that is in New York. Drake May at 6,900 looks good, though. All jokes aside, he's projected 17.5 fantasy points. His projections go up week by week as he becomes a little bit more comfortable in the NFL. He's looked great. As a Patriots fan, it's the only positive for this season, and let me have it because we need it. Doesn't really have anyone to throw to, but he's been airing it out. 39 attempts last game, 282 yards. With the Patriots being bad, that helps Drake May get more comfortable because they're going to be down in football games. They're going to need to throw the ball more. Gives him a little bit more experience. They are 7.5-point dogs against the Dolphins here on Sunday. 47 over-under, though. So Vegas is expecting the Patriots to score some points. The Dolphins' defense hasn't exactly been stellar this year. I like Drake May at, yet another week where he's sub 7K. You could look at him for some value. Like I said, quarterback looks like a cheap value position this week because we have running backs to spend up on. Wide receivers, there's not a ton of value. So I do like going to Geno Smith or Drake May as potential cheap value pieces for this week. Running back, it's a 4-headed horse in my opinion this week. The top 4 guys look unbelievable. Barkley, who's my least favorite of the bunch. CMC, with Brock Purdy now out, they're going to lean on him even more than they usually do. We can assume his restrictions are all gone. 19 handoffs last week, 5 targets, 23 touches. Couldn't really do much with those touches, but he still saw a heavy workload. And he has, a tougher matchup against the Packers, but he will see a ton of usage. Joe Mixon, Devon Achane both look great. And then pick your poison between Gibbs and Montgomery. They can both go off for sure. They're in Indy. It's a high over-under of 50.5. So you could definitely go with one of those guys. It's very rare that we see what we did last week where they both do well. It's just a lot to expect. But for this video, I'm spending up on Joe Mixon as my favorite play. It's tough to not look at Joe Mixon this week. He's been an absolute animal this year. 95.5 rushing yards per game, 3 touchdowns. Last week on, I think, Monday Night Football. This guy's been cashing in for me every time I pick him, so it's going to be really hard for me to go away from him. 5 straight games of 20 or more handoffs. 4 of those 5 games, 24 or 25 handoffs. He had 30 handoffs in week 1 against the Colts. They are giving this guy everything he can handle. And I thought he was going to, digress from the Bengals. He has only improved and looks like a top 3 running back in the NFL this year. They are 7.5 point favorites, 40 over under. I fully expect them to control this game on the ground with their best player in Joe Mixon. Love him at 9,300. Like I was saying, running back looks like a position you want to spend up on this week. There's not a ton of value. Although, there's not a ton of questionable guys this week, but something to keep in mind from the Chicago side. DeAndre Swift is actually questionable with a groin injury. If he's out, we'll be looking towards Roschon Johnson at only 6,100. And then the other bear we need to keep an eye out on, Keenan Allen rolled his ankle in practice on Friday. If he were to miss, DJ Moore would look that much better. Rome Odunze would be, he would go from not a value play to somewhat of a value play at 5,400 as the number 2 guy. We'll keep an eye out on the Chicago Bears. They are a early game on Sunday, so no problems there. For my Guru credit code, go to my website, fd-guru.com. Go to the shop. You have to be signed into an account for this to work so the credits can go into your account. These credits are used on all lineups that I post on my website. Obviously, for NFL, FanDuel, and DraftKings, I post full roster, main slate, early slate, afternoon slate, single game slates for Sunday Night Football, Monday Night Football, Thursday Night Football. So these credits, there's plenty of things and content to use them on. This week's code is going to be Week 12 NFL 24, all capital letters on the letters, Week 12 NFL 24 for the year. Hit apply coupon. You'll see 20 Guru credits go into your account after a few seconds. It will say coupon successfully applied, and the website will reload itself. Just give this video a like. That's all I ask. I try not to, ask of that too often, but I do have to say that every once in a while, especially on free credit days. For wide receiver, there's not a lot of middle tier value, but there is one guy I'm looking at. He's too cheap, and that's Calvin Ridley. They're expected to play from behind in this game at Houston, obviously, with DeAndre Hopkins going over to the Chiefs. Calvin Ridley is the clear-cut number 1 guy. Westbrook-Ikhine has been the number 2 guy. He had a big touchdown last week. He scores often, but he's not really a value play in my eyes. It's Calvin Ridley. He actually had a 50-yard touchdown get called back last week due, I think, to an illegal formation. So that should have been 5 catches for over 100 yards and a touchdown. So don't let the stats fool you. I like him again this week. $6,300, 2 touchdowns a couple of weeks ago. Again, it's not the best matchup. The Texans defense has been pretty middle tier, average, maybe a little bit above average. But the usage is there. The game script is there. I think he's going to get plenty of looks. As we've seen his target share go up a ton. And that's not a coincidence with DeAndre Hopkins out of town. For tight end, you could look towards another thing I want to mention. I said there's not a lot of injury news. Mike Evans should be coming back. Malik Neighbors expected to play. Devontae Smith is a shocking out for Sunday with a hamstring. That's just going to, increase A.J. Brown. He's 8,500, but as a spend up, he'll look a little bit better. And then for tight end, you could look at Dallas Goedert, 6,100. He should be the number 2 receiving option behind A.J. Brown for Jalen Hurts against the Rams. The price isn't cheap, but his upside's great. I like Dallas Goedert as a GPP guy. I'm pretty sure that 10 catches and 170 yards against the Saints was when Devontae Smith was out. So he has the upside. The price isn't exactly a huge value, but I do like Dallas Goedert with Devontae Smith out. My value tight end this week is Hunter Henry, 5,200. He's a primary option for Drake May. They're going to be throwing the ball. Last week, 9 targets, 63 yards. Anytime a tight end can get 9 or more fantasy points without scoring a touchdown, that's going to be really useful. He's really cheap still at 5,200. In my opinion, he should be high 5,000, if not 6,000. We get a low $5,200 price tag on Hunter Henry as the number 1 tight end arguably the number one receiving option for Drake May behind Demario Douglas. Is that how you say his name? Yeah. But I do like Hunter Henry. I think he's cheap. He's not like a must play. He's not extremely reliable, but he's as good as it's going to get for a, low 5,000s tight end. Again, if you have the extra $900, Dallas Goedert looks good. And I don't exactly want to spend up on tight end this week because we're already pressed for, cheap value. In tight end, just never the position to spend up on, because even guys like Travis Kelce are just, they're expensive, and then they have weeks when they can do absolutely nothing. So there's nothing to feel comfortable about when you spend up on tight ends. So I'm going to go cheaper and see, how lucky we can get. And then for defense, never like to spend too much time, but the Bears, sub 4K, look good. Their defense has been stingy all year. They're at home. They are underdogs here, but it's only a 39 over-under, and Sam Darnold has been prone to turnovers this season. So I do like the Bears at sub 4K. Again, you can go with really anyone. Pick your poison there. That'll do it for this video, guys. I want to have a huge Week 12 Sunday. Hopefully, we can do some great things. Thanks for stopping by. Give this video a like. Until next time, I am the FD Guru. Peace.